don't need no wine and dine. I want something high class. Like spending my nights at home, romancing the podcast. Take a deeper dive into these movies that are trash. Meet what's in a bookstore, and then we'll smash. Roll call. Todd. Paige. The other guy. Oh yeah, Mikey.
By the way, Mikey, when we were dropping what episode we were doing, Paige said it right. When you described the movie to her, she said, oh, just like heaven. And you said, no, Far From Heaven. And then we all said Far From Heaven because we assumed the person who picked the movie knew what movie he wanted to do. And no, he did not.
I clarified with you guys 2 different times because I was like, I am absolutely sure they do not mean Far From Heaven.
Far From Heaven, I think, is like a really depressing movie about like
really
racism in the 50s.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I cut out every time Mikey or I said it. And then when I said your homework for next week is to watch, and then I just dropped in Paige's audio from the one time she said it right. So It sounds like very disjointed, but I didn't want the listeners to be confused.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Mikey made us watch
Just Like Heaven.
Or Far From Heaven. So was
Not
this
Far From Heaven.
So was this the first time you guys had seen this movie?
This was my first time,
Me
yes.
too.
This was my first time,
Oh,
I
was
think.
it?
Maybe if I did see it, I was not paying attention. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I get it. Maybe you were on Sean's couch, just really relaxed, just finished watching Bob's Burgers. I get it.
I mean, couches were very important in this film.
Yes,
and
they
I
were.
feel
Yes.
like we cannot understate the importance of couches in people's sexual development and relationships.
So I picked this movie because I thought it was going to be like super bonkers. Now, it is,
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
but also weirdly wholesome.
Yes, no, it is.
It's uncomfortably wholesome is what I would say.
The craziest thing in the movie is that after trying to steal a body from the hospital, they just let Mark Ruffalo walk out of it.
That's crazy.
A broken clock is twice right.
A body thief is right twice a day, Mikey.
Yeah.
Here's what's terrible. So they kind of established that when he touches her body, she can feel it.
Oh, yeah.
They don't explore how creepy that is at all.
Oh, I know. Towards the end, I was like, please don't tell me she's going to be like, go back to the hospital and have sex with me one last time before I die.
Yes, that's what I thought was gonna happen. And I was like, and then he's like, there's only one thing I could do. We gotta get a van. And I was like, he's gonna fuck a corpse. Oh no.
Technically, she's not a corpse. She's just in a coma. Either way, that would be dark, and I'm glad it didn't go there.
Well, I mean, it doesn't go there. It doesn't go to a weird place.
No, it does not go there. But what did you guys think about it? Like, top to bottom, soup to nuts. What do you guys think?
I didn't hate it, I guess.
I didn't hate it either, honestly.
I did not like it though. I mean, like, I didn't vehemently dislike it. It rides a line for me where it's like not crazy enough for me to laugh uproariously at it, but not genuine and romantic enough for me to like it. Like, it's not while you were sleeping, but it's also not the night before Christmas.
Yeah, right.
And like, it's in the middle. And so I'm kind of like, eh. But also I realized as we were watching it, we've had multiple Mark Ruffalo movies over
He's
time.
so charming in this.
He's so charming in this. And I realized that we have watched more Mark Ruffalo than any other Avenger on this podcast.
Really?
Like,
That's
far
true.
and away. Yeah. I was like, interesting. Because in Fun Facts, they were like, he was in the Avengers. I was like, yeah, no shit.
That's
Like,
wild. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, he was the Hulk. Of course yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He did a lot of romantic comedies for a while.
He did. That was like his lane.
Which is wild to me because he's not like super attractive, but I think he is super charming.
I think he's super attractive in this movie.
But he's not like Chris Evans hunky, if that makes sense. He's a
different kind of attractive.
You're not going for the same demo with this kind of film. You're going for middle-aged mommy types.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
I agree, Mikey.
And Mark Ruffalo, the moms love the Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. But also, hey, I am solidly in that Chris Evans demographic,
Oh,
as
yes,
I have
you are.
expressed many times on this show.
Absolutely.
I found Mark Ruffalo extremely attractive in this movie.
Yeah.
I was down. Especially, they have him getting out of the shower shirtless all the time, and he don't look bad.
No, he's doing it
He
right.
doesn't look bad.
Yeah, no, he's in great shape. Yeah.
And this is also early 2000s before you had like have a 14 pack to be considered hot in movies.
But even so, he's in probably, aside from the Hulk, the best shape we've seen Mark Ruffalo in on this show, definitely.
When he's
I
the
am
Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, like as Bruce Banner or whatever, he's got abs. Like his dick has abs in Avengers.
My favorite is Thor Ragnarok. That's my ideal Hulk.
I really like that Marvel saw Guardians of the Galaxy and they're like, oh man, we should make Thor like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should. And it was great. I love Thor Ragnarok.
It was great.
Yeah.
Ragnarok's probably one of my favorite Marvel movies. Yeah.
Same, but they really just like rip off the Guardians of the Galaxy like themes, or like it's stylized like Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm totally here for.
I think they made an overall stylistic choice to be like, we want all of our space stuff to be like Guardians, like
Yes.
like wacky.
Yeah, because at that point, every time you go to space after, it's very cyberpunk, neon, Genesis craziness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with like rock music from the late 70s, 80s. Yeah.
Fucking love
Absolutely.
it. Fucking
Yeah.
So I think
love it.
I think they did a good choice because it's not just a random thing. They're just like, maybe we should make, because like, I could talk about Marvel stuff.
Me
in depth,
too.
but
They very clearly made that choice after the first Guardians success, which I get, and I loved it. So I'm here for it.
So all three of us have played at least a little bit of the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they change what Star-Lord looks like. Which do you prefer, movie Star-Lord or game Star-Lord?
So I prefer game characters,
Same.
except for Drax. I like movie Drax, but I like all the game models better than the. I actually like the plot, their interactions, their characters better
Yeah.
because it's different enough where
Yeah.
it feels like a whole different vision of Guardians of the Galaxy. I am a huge dork. God.
I will say game Peter Quill looks more like Captain America, and I am here for that.
I didn't think about that, Paige, but that is absolutely true. He does look more like Evans than Pratt. Absolutely.
I love that game.
But maybe we should talk about Just Like Heaven.
Oh,
Yeah, okay,
This is
so-
not an episode where we talk about the movie.
not much fucking happens. I'm down to keep talking about the relative attractiveness of Mark Ruffalo.
It was nice to see like the reverse of like usual my relationships,
Where it starts out really hot and heavy and then she ghosts you.
where it starts out with a kiss and then like some stuff happens and then she's a ghost.
Mikey, do you kiss on the first date normally?
Where?
Are you like a no matter how bad it goes, I'm going to kiss her and see if there are sparks kind of thing?
That's a bad idea.
I think it's a
Don't
bad
do it.
idea too. Yeah.
I'm not that.
Okay.
No. If it's going really well, I hope so.
Yeah, but for me, it has to be going real well for me to want to kiss you on the first date.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was on a terrible date one time with a dude who must have had that rule.
Yeah, you've told us his story. It sounds terrible.
But he was an amazing kisser.
Ooh, that's why he kissed you.
Yeah. I honestly had a moment of like, how much of this would I put up with? Not enough.
Well, you see, Paige, he met the devil at the crossroads, and he gave up being charming to be a
Being
great
charming
kisser.
to be a great kisser.
And he had to win a
Oh,
fiddle match to even get that ability.
Ooh.
I don't know why. When you said Crossroads, immediately my mind went to Bone Thugs and Harmony Crossroads. And I don't know why. I'll see you at the crossroads. Holy shit. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, I will say this. I am all here for movies that are straight up magical realism like this is. Like, she's not dead, but her spirit's still walking around haunting Mark Ruffalo. Like, I am here for it. But I will agree with you, Paige, about it's not so bad it's good, and it's not so good it's good. It's like that middle ground.
Yeah. I needed it to be slightly crazier. Like, what was the other one we watched with Dead Eva Longoria? Over Her Dead Body?
Yes, over
Oh
her
my
dead body.
God, yes.
With what's that girl's name who I love, and she just didn't
Lake
get-
Bell.
Yeah, I love Lake Bell, man. She's so good, and she just didn't get many opportunities to play that sort of character after that.
Right.
She's so good, man. I think she's a solid actress.
Yeah, no, and I was kind of thinking about that as I was watching this, because that movie's fucking nuts.
Yes, it is.
That movie goes so far into bonkers territory that like we had crazy fun talking about it because it was wacky. This one, I was just like, it plays it too close to the vest. It stays too conservative.
Yeah.
But also, it was so predictable. I knew she was in a coma like 5 minutes into the movie,
Yeah.
even having never seen it before. And then because they can't touch at all, and because they spend most of the movie solving, in my brain I said solving her murder, but like
I mean, honestly, if that doctor got his way, the Phoenix doctor guy, if he had gotten his
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
it would have been a murder.
But so as they're solving, her thing, I also had kind of a struggle with like, A, she seems to remember a lot of stuff about her apartment and nothing else. And they pick and choose what she can remember and what she can't, which really doesn't serve the story well. But then on top of that, because they're just looking for her, there's no chemistry. This is the most charming we've ever seen Mark Ruffalo, and there is negative chemistry in this movie. And then they can't even kiss or touch or anything. And you're just like, this is a wash.
There's some on the rooftop, but that's it.
Yeah.
That scene is 55 minutes into the film.
Yes.
He is carrying all of the chemistry in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's why he's the Hulk, because he's strong enough to carry the chemistry for an entire film.
His secret is his dick's had abs this entire time, Paige.
I'm always horny.
Yeah, when he's talking to Donald Logue or whatever his name is.
I also love Donald Logue,
too.
who is
He's so
woefully
great.
underused in this film.
I know, but he is great in this movie, and he's great in everything. I wish I saw more of him. Anyway, when he's talking to him and they're like about to steal the body, and then he like says, "I love her," and then he turns to her and says, "I love you." I like looked at the screen and I was like, do you?
Do you?
Are you sure? Because that's not something that we've witnessed, really.
No, that scene is very strange because they very clearly... Wardrobe made some sort of mistake that day and didn't give Donald Logue a jacket because they knew he was going to be in a lab coat.
Yeah.
And they pull back and he's in a weird tucked in t-shirt and it's the worst he's ever looked on earth. And it's not his fault. It is clearly somebody who has just not dressed him enough.
Yeah.
And so then when he puts the lab coat on, he looks fine. But I was just like, somebody forgot to give him a hoodie or something. Like,
why do you think I wear a hoodie everywhere? Got to cover that belly.
Hey, same.
That's why I lay her up. You can't see the dick abs if I lay her up.
Oh my God. Okay, do you think you guys would get along if you were single? Like I'm single.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would like a ghost in my house.
I definitely wouldn't want a ghost in my house. Get the fuck out of my house. I'm gonna sage the shit out of that house.
But like she's like hot, she's like a blonde, and she's just like there.
Oh, I don't care if she's hot and blonde. Get out of my house.
You're also just describing your type, so no, she can get the fuck out of my house.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, what's the difference between having this like petite blonde woman yell at you about touching stuff and dating someone? I was like, it's the same experience for me.
So what you're saying is it was totally believable that they fell in love because they had been dating for a month.
Yeah, basically. Well, and also this movie only takes place over a month, which I think is wild.
I know,
the amount
right?
of things that happen in that month.
Yeah, but they're living together for a month, so it's like a Love is Blind type situation.
I mean, kind of.
Love is in a coma.
He can't touch her. And sometimes the things that keep you from murdering the people that you live with is having sex with them. So, like, it'd be rough.
That is the truest thing I think that will ever be said on this podcast.
On this podcast,
Yeah.
Sometimes the thing that keep you from murdering each other is hugging each other and having sex.
Sometimes it's not enough. I have
It's not
broken
enough
up
all the time.
with some good sex because the rest.
Yeah, it's not the only thing. I'm just saying that it is an element to stopping each other from murdering each other when you're stuck in a
Absolutely.
house.
I just wish there was more scenes of them like staying up all night, like that one night, and like talking all the
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. That's what I needed.
Like there should have been like a 50 questions sort of a thing where he was like asking her questions or vice versa to try and figure out more about her because she doesn't really know, although it does seem that when she's pressed, sometimes she can remember. Like
She does know? Yeah, the rules are unclear.
Yeah.
Oh, the rules are the whole thing.
Yeah.
Suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, you have to.
The effects were garbage, and I loved it.
Yeah, the effects are terrible. I'm trying to think, Mikey, of like if Chris Evans was a ghost in my house, how long could I put up with that as a single person? And I don't know.
Yeah, if I was single, I probably would be down to like figure out what was going on. Although I wouldn't commit to the, yes, I'm talking to someone who no one else can see, like bit or conceit as hard as Mark Ruffalo does. Like he talks to her whether he's alone or whether he's in public. Like it does not matter.
People who do hear voices or see things, it is very hard for them not to respond because it's like a Reese Witherspoon talking into your ear the whole time.
Yeah.
It's hard not to talk back.
Sure.
Yeah. I think for me, the main problem would be I've seen too many horror movies and I would probably burn the house down first.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, there's a ghost in this house. Fucking run.
Oh, yeah. This guy would have been committed fairly quickly for any of the numerous outbursts.
He almost gets committed in the last scene.
I would have checked myself in. That's one where I would have been
Yeah.
like, hey, Paige, no one else could see this person. I think it's time we go to a doctor.
Yeah.
Except for Napoleon Dynamite, he can see her.
I don't even trust that he can. But yeah, Napoleon Dynamite's in this movie.
And I love his character in this movie.
Dude, at the end, when he is just seeing her out the window and she's like paying at the meter and he just gives her the thumbs up, I was like, this is exactly how I wanted their story to wrap up. Like, in like a very creepy, but like, she's like, what the fuck is happening?
And he
Like,
just starts dancing to Thriller in the middle of the store.
excuse you, it was Canned Heat by Jamiroquai.
No, I know, but for this
okay.
it has to be Thriller because it's
Yeah,
Because
ghosts.
she's a ghost.
Yes,
Well,
that's
I mean,
fair.
like a coma
A coma spirit.
coma spirit.
A napparition.
apparition.
Hell yes. Oh my God. Hey, have you guys ever napped so hard you left your body?
Yes.
100%.
I'm going to take a nap so I can haunt that body later.
Let's go shop for new apartments.
I did think it was a little crass at the end when she got her body back that he was like, are you now ready for an inner body experience?
No.
Paige, in her body?
I get it, Mikey.
God damn it. Now I just need I want Mikey's one pickup line from every movie we do.
Just a super
Yeah,
cut.
that's what I want. No, I mean, I think that should be like a segment we do at the end. Like we'll do fun facts, we'll do box office, we'll do are they still together? And then Mikey, what is your one pickup line from this movie? And
Okay.
Are you ready for an in her body experience? Yeah.
I can commit to this bit. I will commit to this.
I love it. I love everything about it. But do you guys want to get into this movie so we can talk about it bonkers scene by bonkers scene?
I guess, but it's like not that bonkers. It's just like two people who don't like each other talking a lot.
Yeah. This is like when we watched Four Weddings and a Funeral, and I was like, why do all these people who don't like each other keep getting married?
I do much prefer this movie to Four Weddings and a Funeral, though.
Yes, 100%. This movie, I was like, at the rooftop scene, I was like, his wife died and you brought him back. I was like...
Oh, for reasons that are external of this movie, like this past week has been like a very emotional week for me. So like a lot of this movie I cried through, but it is unrelated to the movie. All right, let's just get into the movie though. Let's talk about it.
All right. So we open on Reese Witherspoon sitting in a garden that's like, it reminded me of the fairy world in True Blood, which people at the time used to compare to a tampon commercial. And I was like, this does look like a tampon commercial ass garden.
I could see that. Yeah.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
But she's also in like a plastic school chair, and somebody wakes her up and we realize that she's been asleep in the break room for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And has been on for 23 hours to try and earn an attending spot at this hospital.
Yeah, because right now she's a resident at St. Matthew's, which is like
Right.
being a doctor. I guess she's still technically a doctor at this point, but like she's not done with her training yet.
Right. And we kind of see her go on rounds. We get like a montage of her doing doctor shit. A lot of dudes hit on her and she's kind of slapping them away.
That old guy keeps proposing to her, and I loved how she handled it, but I feel like that's also a dicey way to handle it.
Yeah, well, and it shows her like double typing on two keyboards.
Yeah.
And then it shows a guy who is clearly on some sort of hallucinogen licking a window. And then like he tries to bite her later, which is wild.
And they have to like
Restrain him.
yeah, that guy like attacks the asshole doctor, and they do have to restrain him. And then she comes over and saves the asshole doctor by giving him some sort of injection to knock him out. And that's when they tie him up to the bed in the hallway.
Yes.
And then later at the end of this like little like work montage scene we see, that is when he like tries to bite her like it's 28 days later.
Yeah, and that would be the craziest part of this montage, if not for the thing that happens next, where she is walking down the hallway eating a salad and then hands
it
the
to
salad
somebody else.
Yeah.
And they
And
start
then just
eating
starts
it.
eating the salad. And then later we see that girl later in the movie and she's asleep with the same salad in her lap.
Yeah.
Or a near identical
Yeah.
one. And I was just like, do they think women share salads? Like,
I don't know, but that salad's touched more women than I have in the last 3 months.
So only one, Mikey, is what you're saying? Only one for you?
I don't want to answer these questions.
we'll leave you alone.
I mean, I don't think I've been out much on the 2022.
You haven't made the rounds like the salad.
This is
Yeah.
one of those scenes where I was like, oh, this is definitely pre-COVID.
Yeah.
You're like the hospital salad girl.
Everyone gets a crouton. It made me think of, those stock images of women laughing at salad, where it's just like
Yes.
people in marketing don't understand women at all. So they're just like, normal woman laughing at a salad. This was very much that for me, where I was like, whoever made this is like, what do women do? Share salads? Great. Put it in.
I do love those memes, though. I can't remember who it was, but like someone got like 4 of those pictures together, and then above it in like that white text above the meme, it says, salads are hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. But this scene really just serves to show that she's overworking herself. Like her work-life balance is way off because she's trying to get that attending position.
Yeah.
And it really is between her and the asshole doctor who we overhear has an offer in Phoenix, but he doesn't really want to go to Phoenix because it's not as nice as San Francisco where they are.
Yeah, and as somebody who is overworking themselves currently to try and achieve things that they want, hard same.
Yeah.
Like, I fully empathize.
Yeah. When I was watching her, I was like, oh, 23 hours. That's about right.
Yeah,
All 3 of us work way too much.
I know.
Anyway, so we cut to the bathroom where all of the other residents and one of their mentors are all kind of getting ready.
Yeah.
And one of them is going on a date with her ex because he hasn't told his mom they're divorced. Another one is like her husband's bugging her to have kids. And essentially all it does is reveal that Reese Witherspoon has no one. She's alone. She's going to die alone.
And I love that, like, I think it's the one who they give the advice to stop shaving her legs so her husband will leave her alone about the kids thing, which
Yeah.
I don't think that's accurate. I think guys will
Yeah.
still have sex with you if you don't shave your legs. So yeah.
I have had lots of sex with unshaved
Yeah.
legs.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie to you guys. Like, if I'm into you, if they're like, oh, I haven't shaved my legs in 3 days, I'd be like, well, they're going to get friction now. Bye.
Although I will, and this is a real weird note. I recently found a razor I really like, which has prompted me to shave more often than I have in the past, especially because we've been home for 2.5 fucking years.
Right.
So Billy razors, I guess. If you don't like razors, they're not paying us.
This episode brought to you by Billy. Billy, if you don't like
Billy.
razors and don't like paying for podcast sponsorships, Billy.
Billy.
Yeah, Billy will come over and shave your legs as much as you want.
Honestly, though, if there was someone who was like, I'll do it for you, you just have to stand still and listen to a podcast or sleep standing up, 100. Yes, take my money.
What's Jake doing? Like, what is he even doing over there?
100%. I'm going to see like Mikey showing up to like listeners' houses with like a fake pressed on mustache with a name
It is
tag that
I,
says Billy.
It's I, Billy, the shaver.
Bring me your leg hair.
Do you like shaved icebreakers?
What are legs like you doing on a girl like this?
We already know he has a thing for legs and Bob's Burgers.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I should never have told it. I can't believe I haven't told those stories before.
I cannot believe the first time you mentioned that stories was on the Can't Buy Me Love episode. That was bonkers.
Anyway, so we do find out that Reese Witherspoon does have something to do that night. She's seeing her sister and her nieces.
Yeah. She's being set up on a blind date.
Yeah, with whom?
You'll
will
find out later.
Yeah, we don't know for another, I don't know, this movie's 94 minutes. We don't find out for another 90 minutes.
92 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I had kind of suspected that.
Yeah, me too. The one thing I didn't suspect was that Donald was JJ. I didn't
Yeah,
suspect that.
yeah, I
Right?
didn't
I
expect
loved that.
But
that
I
was great.
I love that too, but I just didn't suspect that.
My favorite line from the whole movie is, the only reason I'm doing this is because someday I have to call you to move a body. I don't want you to ask any questions.
I was 100% sure that like Mikey and I will have that agreement at some point in our life.
I do really like, we haven't gotten to it yet, but Donald Logue is basically playing Mikey in this
Yes,
movie.
absolutely he is. Yeah. Like if I was in Mark Ruffalo's situation, this is how it would play out. And Mikey would be Donald Logue and I would be Ruffalo.
You wish you could be Ruffalo.
I wish my dick had abs. Yeah.
Aw.
Your short budget would be like out of control though.
No, I know. I do a lot of dick ups. I just don't have the definition because it's too fat. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's just move on.
You just dunk it in pre-workout before you start.
My dick's like, get some!
I picture it being in pants yelling that. What was that? Nothing.
Nothing.
I didn't hear anything.
Nothing.
It's my text message notification.
Oh my God. I need someone to isolate me yelling "get some" as my dick and then send that to Mikey so he can make it his notification.
I'm not a monster. I silence my phone.
Yeah, same. I haven't had a ring on my phone forever.
Like years, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's going to be set up to be murdered. No, I'm kidding. She's going to be set up on a date at her sister's house with SpongeBob lasagna because I guess her sister's horror children.
Yeah.
Who are only cool in the last part of the movie. For the first 2/3 of the movie, they are a nightmare. One of them put SpongeBob in the lasagna before it baked, apparently.
Which you have to make a whole new lasagna. Like, that is not edible anymore.
I mean, depending on what SpongeBob is made out of, yeah.
Yeah.
If it was a SpongeBob popsicle, no, you're good to go.
No, it's just a unique fusion flavor. Hey, why does this lasagna taste like cold pineapple?
Hey, who put hairy shaved ice in SpongeBob in the lasagna?
Is there Scotch Guard in this?
The secret ingredient is love.
And also a sea creature who practices karate and lives in a pineapple.
But also, like, keep your kids out of your food. It's not that hard. They're small.
Yeah, don't bake your children.
It's a very good pro tip. So if you're like hanging out with your kids, Hansel and Gretel, keep them out of your food.
Keep them out of your food.
Yeah.
They're gamey. I do want to bring up, I was at the movies with a friend and I told him my thinking of like, if you lose a limb, no one's using it. Like, don't you want to know? And he was like, that's horrifying.
It is.
I don't know if we can remain friends.
What, you can't be friends with him because...
No. He was fully roasting me, but he was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Bite. At least one bite.
I know. And I was like, you could share it.
You guys talk about cannibalism more casually than Army Hammer. Like, what is happening?
I would rather taste, like, if my arm gets cut off, I'd rather taste that meat one time than any sort of other fluid that comes out of my body.
Okay.
That gets snowballed back into your mouth, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying which. I'm saying all. I'm saying all fluids. I'm saying all.
I'm just saying, it's not like they can reattach it. It's not like they can put it on someone else.
Right.
It's just going to go in the trash.
There are kids in other countries.
No, Mikey, no.
What? Were you going to say that need food or that we can eat? Hang on. Because one of those is a little bit more appropriate than the other.
It was that need food. Basically, don't waste food.
Okay.
Don't waste your extra limbs.
Okay, I thought he was going Soylent Green with it, Paige. I got very concerned.
There are kids in other countries and ours who would want that limb to eat, okay?
I don't think they would. I feel like Mikey and I are the only people, because my friend was like, remind me to never die around you.
I know, exactly, yeah.
No, if you die, that's different.
I mean, if it's us or them, Paige.
If it's us or them, or if we're on an island, sure. But if you just die, like your family wants your body or whatever.
If you're just dead, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is me, like, if I lose a limb, but I'm going to keep on living without that limb, I can consent to that limb.
Okay, imagine this. Huge party. And like I'm at the grill and everybody's there and I tricked you and they're like, oh my God, what's that smell? It smells delicious. And then I open it and it's just my fucking arm on the grill. And I'm like, we're going to try my arm.
I love that up until that point, Paige, none of us had noticed that he had lost an arm.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, is he flipping burgers with a prosthetic and nobody noticed?
He has that arm from Arrested Development with the guy who always gets hit by the car.
See, here's the thing though. You gotta go for like that sweet leg thigh meat, cut it up, tenderize it, vacuum seal it so you can sous vide it.
We've got to stop. This is like 10 minutes of cannibalism.
Yeah, you guys literally are talking about this more than Army Hammer. Like the only person who's enjoying this is Army Hammer and he's jerking off to our podcast, and that is something I cannot abide.
I would love to interview him on this podcast.
Army Hammer, if you're out there.
Here's the thing. He was not going to do it consensually. He was like, I want to hunt and kill or whatever.
And that's where we draw the line.
Yeah, this is our own meat that we're just not using.
But think of the buzz about that interview. I think we would do well.
No, I think that would be very bad.
We would ask him, if you lost an arm, would you try your own arm? And like
I'm sure he would.
And people would care about what he had to say. What if he said no? That would be...
I mean, then that's sexist.
Exactly.
He's like, man meat, gross.
We're asking the hard-hitting questions to our celebrity guests.
Start the rumors.
He ate his own toe.
It was tofu.
God, that was such a fun birthday party.
God, Ben's the best. By the way, Ben's like a 75-year-old man we talked to at a party, and I am in love with him.
I think we told that story, but like, yeah,
You did.
it was
You
great.
told it last
Yeah.
week. But see, that's a man who's lived and understands the value of human meat. I'm so sorry.
Like, after he said that joke, Paige, I looked at Mikey and I leaned in and I was like, should we have him guest? Like, this dude's hilarious.
I mean, I've never seen someone that age yes and as well as he did.
I know.
In something so vague so quickly.
It was amazing.
I mean, you haven't spent enough time with my father.
No, we have not. But this guy's like your father's
this
dad's
guy's
age.
way older than your father.
Yeah, oh, he is way older than my
He's
dad.
your
I'm just
father's
saying,
father's
my father's father. When my dad gets to be 75, I'm sure he'll be yes-anding crazy shit. He used to deliberately embarrass us in restaurants where it'd be like we'd go to Fuddruckers where they like call your number
Yeah.
to pick up your food. And he'd be like, okay, when they call our number, we have to jump up and act like we won a prize. And I was like, no, we don't have to.
I
He's
love
like, yes, we do. And I was like, people are going to look at us. And he's like, because they're jealous that we're having more fun. And we did it. And people did stare at us. And then we got back to the table. I was like, I don't think they're jealous. And he's like, I don't care.
God damn it. Does your dad ever do anything that is not awesome? Like,
No.
Fuck, I'm so glad that I have been adopted by your family.
Again, the paperwork is still processing, but we'll be sure to notify you of any update.
This is incredibly hurtful.
This is a cannibal family, not a non-cannibal family, and they have adopted me.
Oh, you guys won't take me because I won't eat people. This is gross. This is terrible. Let's move on.
Anyway, so that guy tied to the gurney tries to bite her.
Oh my God. Is that where we are? Oh.
Yeah, and I saw it in my notes like 10 minutes ago, and I was like, I'm just going to save it. I'm going to wait.
Give me that salad.
Give me that sweet Reese meat. Yeah. But this is where like we find out that the asshole doctor, whose name escapes me, but he has been working for 12 hours and she's been working a little bit longer than that. I mean, it's like 23 or whatever. And the Dr. Walsh, is it Walsh or Welsh?
It is Dr. Walsh, which was the name of my pediatric physician as a child.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, for like 10 plus years.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, so he says they have a gunshot wound, and he's like, which one of you has been on shorter, more or less? And so he tells the asshole doctor to go take care of the gunshot wound. And Reese, he's like, hey, Reese, I wanted to tell you that you're going to get the attending position because she's the one that doesn't try and kiss his ass. And I even like that he was like, which is a risky move, but I like it.
Yeah, well, and essentially what he says is that she's there for the patients, not the job. Like, she wants this job, but she wants it so that she can help people.
Yeah.
And we find out at this point she's been on for 26 hours straight.
Yes. He even says it. He's like, you've been here for 26 hours. The only thing I want from you right now is for you to go home.
Yeah.
And he did just tell her she got the job. I thought this was a weird little thing that happened, though, because she gets the job and he says, go home. So she goes and changes. She leaves. We see her in the outfit she's going to be wearing the rest of this movie.
Yup.
And then she gets to the parking lot and the doctor who just went to go take care of the gunshot wound is also leaving.
Right.
She sees him in the parking lot. So the guy who got shot is just dying somewhere because no one's there to help him.
No, the guy died like real quickly, so the surgery scrubbed or whatever.
No. It's because she gets in the elevator and someone pulls her to go look at a bowel obstruction. So she ends up staying another few hours.
Oh, okay. I missed that part of it. Okay,
And that's
yeah.
why she's late to dinner, because she's calling on the way to dinner. She's late. And they're like, don't worry, your date is late too. But she's like, hey, I got the position. I'm staying in San Francisco. She turns up the radio. She hydroplanes because it's raining, as it often does in San Francisco. And she gets hit by a truck.
Yeah.
So we cut to someone showing an apartment because it's been photographed for magazines, but it has no furniture. It just has a Zen garden, which I thought was pretty. Where's the couch?
Yeah, where the couch is it's like pillows stacked on the floor.
They're meditation pillows, like specifically.
But that's not, I mean, listen, it's beautiful. I like it, but it's not a house. Like that is like a yoga waiting room, like, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's great for that sort of place, but not for your house.
What's a yoga waiting room?
Like where you would wait for the next class to end so then your class starts. Like they have like a hot yoga room.
Right.
And I'm not even making this up. Like you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but like
No,
this is like
I'm
a real
not.
thing. Like my mom used to teach yoga at an ashram in Lake Mary, Florida, and they had a room that looked just like this that was real close to.
Oh, like where Doc Antle went or whatever?
That's Yogaville in Virginia, but close. Good call.
No, it was just an ashram. It was a Sikh ashram in Florida. It was beautiful, actually.
So, yeah, no, it reminded me of like the waiting room in a spa.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I can do that. I've been to spas.
Anyway, so the next one is an art loft with a couch, and Mark Ruffalo, for some reason, doesn't understand how to sit on a couch that is not exactly couch shaped.
This is early 2000s when the couching industry was shifting. I mean, he wasn't prepared.
Couching industry
Was shifting. Welcome back to our 3-part Ken Burns documentary about the couching industry and the shifts that happened in the mid-2000s.
Welcome back to Chesterfield of Dreams, an exploration of couching throughout the ages.
Shit. If you sit it, he will come. That's what it needs to say above Sean's couch when we buy it and put it in our office.
Oh, God.
If you sit it, he will come. C-U-M.
Metrosectional, an exploration of postmodernism in couching.
But think about it. Sectionals were only for rich people until, like, in the last 10 years. You did not see sectionals in most people's houses.
I did, but I also grew up in the suburbs where people had bigger living rooms.
Paige, you were rich.
I was not rich until I was a teenager.
Paige, that's not a good defense, as they would say.
I wasn't rich until I could remember it. But anyway, I thought that he was sitting on that couch like that to be a dick because, like, it seems like the one thing he asked it for was a nice couch, and she brought him to a place where the couch was 3 inches off the ground and didn't have a back in the middle. So he was just like, look, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a nice couch.
If there's no back, it's just a bed.
Well, I mean, on the couch, 2 sides have a back.
The corners
The center,
have a back.
yeah, the center doesn't.
That's
It's
just
like,
a sleigh bed with cushions.
And the center doesn't, so that people can sit on it from both sides.
Yes.
Like, there's a reason for that, but it's not what he's looking for.
Right, because it is more like a party space, which he even says when he sees that apartment. He's like, I'm not going to be throwing raves, so I don't need this space, you know?
Yeah.
But also, if you're apartment hunting for couches, you're doing something wrong.
I don't know, man. Like, he finds a great apartment based on the couch, though. So, like...
That's true, but in between that, he finds a Versace nightmare with Fabergé eggs in it.
Yeah, I thought that apartment was the most bonkers.
That was a crazy apartment, because I was like, who decorated this? Dead women from the 80s? Like, this is such a crazy apartment. Because all the pillows are like that very classic, like, 80s Versace.
Yeah.
And clearly Versace, or meant to look that way, I should say. And then as he sits down under the couch, he looks to the side, and there are, like, meant to look like Fabergé eggs on the side table. And I was like, whose house is this?
Well, and also, like, naked man statues. Like, they rack focus from one naked man butt to another naked man butt.
I mean, hey.
I thought that was my favorite rack focus in the movie.
I think naked man statues are pretty fun. No shame in the game.
I mean, I'm not saying I want him in my house, but if there was a house that had them in there that I could Airbnb rent for like a week, I'd do it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it'd be funny.
Anyway.
For the stories, Mikey.
Yeah, for the stories. Hey, why these statues get all sticky?
Mind your business!
I'm looking at their history on Hulu, and all they watched was Chesterfield of Dreams and Metrosectional. Check the cushions for condoms. More cushion for the pushing, baby.
Yo, this sectional about to have a love seat.
It's a sectional, if you know what I mean.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about me and this couch. We don't pull out.
Yes.
I hate us so much, but I also love us so much. Anyway, as they're leaving the apartment, a flyer flies toward him on the wind and sticks to his leg, and he's trying to like throw it away, but it keeps like sticking to him. And then he reads it, and it's a month-to-month sublet because of some family thing, which immediately I was like, she's in a coma. They go up to see the apartment. He loves it. He loves the couch, so he takes the apartment.
Yeah. It's also a badass apartment. Like, even if it had a shitty couch.
Fun fact.
Oh, yeah?
So it's a great apartment. The exterior of the apartment. The interior is a real apartment. I'll cover it in fun facts.
Okay, cool.
The exterior is the same apartment from Sweetest Thing.
No shit. Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually, we've seen multiple movies in San Francisco where this is the apartment. I think what it must be is that building already has permitted filming or something like that.
It's gotta be.
Because it is the exterior for like insert San Francisco apartment here is this exterior. Anyway, so he's chilling on the couch, you know, buried in bruise, watching an old wedding video, which is how you know that he's either dumped or she's dead automatically. And as he's doing that, Reese Witherspoon walks in and freaks out because she thinks there's a stranger in her house.
Yes.
And he then is like, oh, it's a rent scam. That's why this is so cheap. Like, I bet we both rented it. Like, at first he treats her like, oh, she's a real person, whatever.
I mean, she is a real person, but she's not, she's in a coma. That's not really her.
She's not
yeah.
corporeal.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so she's like, no, I live here. This is all my stuff. And you are living like a pig in my house. And I hate it.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was like, clearly she is in a ghost or coma or something. She then disappears. He installs an extra lock on the door, which is, he's not getting that security deposit back.
I was about to say, there's no way they would let him get away with that, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. He goes to take a shower. Nice.
Is that Mark Ruffalo and those pillows, Ruffalo?
Yeah. Well, he gets out of the shower and he's like putting a towel around his waist. And I was like, this is the best he's ever looked.
Oh my God. Have you not seen Avengers? His dick has abs in Avengers, Paige.
I mean, yeah, but he's also like has anger issues.
Some people are into that, Paige.
Okay. Rank the Avengers. Who you boning from the Avengers?
Black Widow.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that was a dumb question. I knew Todd was going to list dudes. I should have thought about it for you. Also, ASMR for the freaks. Hold on. Wait, fuck. I pulled it.
False alarm.
There we go.
Whose powers would you want to sleep with?
I mean, at least Captain America always brings a shield. I'm worried about Tony Stark's heart.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure Tony Stark can handle all that, Paige.
No, I don't think he's ready for it.
I would like the Wasp to shrink down and then like pose next to my dick like the Leaning Tower piece.
Mikey has a very weird kink, Paige. She's just like holding it up, like, and we're just taking photos, but you can't tell what it is because you can't see the top of it. It's just like this fleshy mass that Wasp is like holding it up.
Is that a giant mushroom?
And Ant-Man's just walking by like, what the fuck?
We used science for this?
This is why Mikey and I can't be scientists.
That's why I like dating girls with small hands.
Hey, can you palm a basketball? All right, get out of here.
Whatever. Mark Ruffalo looking fine in this movie.
Yeah. And
she's like appearing behind him in the mirror.
I don't know. The Hulk power set would be good to date because very easy to read.
How's your day? Well, he's green, so.
The Johnsons are coming to dinner. Oh, no. You don't like that? I can tell because you're a monster now.
Oh, no. I was thinking maybe later we could like fool around. Hulk smash! Anyway, so we cut to him meeting up with Donald Logue and is like, I'm seeing someone. And Donald Logue is like, that's amazing. And he's like, no, hallucinations. And he's like, ah, shit. And he takes out an old receipt and starts taking notes.
Yeah.
Because this is where we learn that Donald Logue is a therapist in this movie.
Yes, he is.
And he does say, I won't charge you, but if we get into a second hour, we're going to have to work something out.
Which is his version of, I'm a therapist, but I'm not your therapist.
But I'm not your
Yeah.
therapist.
Okay, I'm putting it together now.
Yeah. You're seeing it, Mikey?
Yeah.
Good.
Also, I'm pretty sure you would help me steal a body.
Were they dead before or after us?
Hey, I need you to not ask so many questions.
Are we eating it?
Oh, no. Guys.
We're going to
yeah.
wrap it in leaves and bury it in the ground so it cooks slow.
Well, then I would prefer we call it grocery shopping.
Anyway, he suggests that he's like, are you also drinking a lot? And Mark Ruffalo's like,
Maybe.
yeah. Yeah. Yup. And he's like, but why is this my hallucination? Just some like lady yelling at me to clean?
That would be the worst hallucination, yes.
That's every person I date.
I mean, there's only one person to blame for that, Mikey.
Yeah, just
and
clean your place. What is happening?
Or just don't date people like that. You got two different options to solve the problem.
I got a third option.
What? No, because it hasn't been cut off you and consented for food yet.
Oh my
Also,
God.
no one could see you pointing at your dick just now.
No, Todd, that was not supposed to be in the episode. People are supposed to know I'm like this.
Mikey, they know you're like this.
Trust me, they know.
Yeah.
They know that you just mouthed eat my dick. Well, no, so Donald Logue is like, hey, you need to get out more. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Meh." So he goes back to the apartment and he climbs into bed in jeans and falls asleep.
I saw that and I felt very seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, oh no, maybe I'm not this attracted to Mark Ruffalo.
I was like, oh, he must have nasty feet.
I bet he does have hairy feet. When I saw his chest, I was like, I bet he's got hairy feet too. Nice.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I thought of it as like, man, why are you sleeping in clothes? You're just going to bust out of them if you have a nightmare.
And he does get scared by a ghost pretty often. So like, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she pops in as he's trying to sleep and she tries to diagnose him with alcohol-induced hallucinations because she's a doctor. But this is the kind of stuff where it's like she remembers all of this, but she doesn't remember who she is.
She doesn't even remember she's a doctor yet.
Yeah, she remembers that there's a receipt in the drawer, but she doesn't remember who she is.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
It is weird.
So she threatens to call the police, but she can't pick up the phone. And eventually she like walks off to the kitchen to try and get the other phone, but disappears as she does. We cut to the next day where he calls his realtor about the sublet, wanting to know about the previous tenant. And she's like, well, I can't really tell you. I just know it was some family tragedy, but if she dies, then you'll get a real lease.
I do think it's funny that the realtor, and this is probably somewhat realistic, but she's like, if she dies, then you can get a real lease. It's like she's excited about the prospect of her dying.
Yeah, have you met realtors?
I was going to say, the cutthroat nature of apartment hunting in San Francisco is the most realistic part of this film.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I bet it's realistic, you know?
Oh, yeah.
When you think empathy, realtor is not a top 100 profession that comes up with that.
No, it's not.
My dad works in real estate.
Exactly.
And he's a very empathetic man.
But he's in marketing and real estate.
He is now. He was a realtor when I was young.
Oh, no shit. Okay, cool. I mean, one of my good friends is a realtor. I bought my house from him. He's honestly a great guy, which is why I trusted him. But I wouldn't go to some random realtor that I didn't know.
Yeah, trusted him to root for someone dying so that you could get that
Yeah,
house.
Xavier probably would do that. Because he's a good friend, Paige.
Yeah.
He wants what's best for me, not for thee. If you guys are in the Tennessee area and need a good realtor, though, Xavier Thompson at TJ Anderson Homes, check him out.
He gave us $12 for this hat.
He didn't give us anything, but he seriously is the one who got me in my house. Like, very helpful. He's a great guy.
I just sent him a Venmo request. That's what we should do. We should just do ads and send Venmo requests.
Hey, Shavy Billy.
Shavy Billy?
Somebody tweet me Wingstop's Venmo account.
Yeah.
Yeah, they owe us some money for sure. Yeah.
Let's just send him an invoice.
Send a Venmo request for wings, not for a dollar amount, just for wings.
Yeah.
I haven't had Wingstop in a minute. Maybe I'll have Wingstop for lunch today.
Nice.
Okay, so the one thing that the realtor keeps saying about this apartment, and then Mark Ruffalo echoes it a couple times, is it's got a view and a fireplace, which is like hard to find. And so I was like, she's right. I'd do a lot for a view and a fireplace. Anyway, we cut to the store where Napoleon Dynamite works, the occult and metaphysical bookstore.
I love when Mark Ruffalo is looking for books about the, like, not paranormal, but like ghosts specifically. And
Right.
Napoleon Dynamite walks up, they start talking, and then that guy comes up and asks about ufology or UFO.
Yeah,
like
ufology.
Yeah, ufology,
Yeah.
right? But Napoleon
It's
Dynamite.
not even real science.
Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite like looks down on him so much. And that to me is so funny because like I've talked to people who are like in that realm. Like I have a friend who's like a ufologist or ufologist. And
Ufologist.
Yeah, and like he does look down on a lot of other paranormal stuff. So I do feel like there are communities within like the paranormal umbrella that do look down on each other. So I was like, that's very funny to me.
My favorite is the consistent war between the ufologists and the cryptozoologists.
Oh yeah.
That is my favorite.
Yes.
They fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh so hard.
I once saw, the only time I ever saw someone get yelled at like in a nerd forum was when someone was trying to pass off that Bigfoot was actually an alien and people lost their minds.
There is a lot of thought around this theory
Yeah.
of Bigfoot either being an alien or a tulpa,
Yeah.
or potentially a merging of different dimensions. So the question is not if aliens are from different planets, but if they are from a different plane of existence that exists parallel to our own, We can't go into it right now. I have so many thoughts.
All right, Dan Aykroyd, let's go to the next scene.
I mean, if you want to hear Henry Zabrowski scream about it for hours, go listen to the last podcast on the left.
Absolutely. I honestly feel like Bigfoot's just like a leftover Nephilim, but we can talk about it later.
Ooh.
That is not my angels.
You say not my angels?
Hashtag not my angels, guys.
It doesn't have enough eyes.
The Angels baseball team is going to get very confused by that hashtag.
So he offers him a few different books, and then the last book, he like runs it down his chest for vibes and then hands it to him, which I thought was really funny.
I love the scenes with him in this movie.
Yeah, me too. He is so great. I honestly wish he did more stuff.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't do much after this, but I think it's because I think it was probably hard to escape the Napoleon thing.
It was huge, and he was like, he's Napoleon Dynamite. He was such a part of it.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to pull a John Cryer and come back way later when nobody's like, Ducky, anymore. So,
I mean, he still works. Like he has credits, like a few credits every year, but
yeah.
I mean, he was like a legitimate like rocket star, and then he sort of faded because of all of that. But yeah, I think he's great. He does great in this movie. But I love that he does rub that last book on his chest. And he does stuff like that. Oh, he also like closes his eyes and grabs like a Ghosts for Dummies book. Like he was trying to like paranormally find the right book, and he like grabs that and he goes, no. And he like grabs another book, and that's the book he rubs on himself and gives to him. I thought it was so funny.
It was very funny. We cut to back in the apartment. Mark Ruffalo's trying to do like a DIY seance.
Yeah.
It's not working. But then he goes to set a hot cup of coffee on the table without a coaster, and she appears.
Which I do find very funny. I think it's very funny.
But he launches into questions that I had about this movie.
Yeah.
Because he's like, what do you do during the day when you're not here? Like, how are you spending your days in between the time you're talking to me? Like, what's happening? And we find out that like she only gets to talk to him. That's the only, like, I guess in between there's just nothingness. And she doesn't remember the accident, but she at least realizes that she's not corporeal.
Yeah. Well, is this a scene where she tries to like grab the phone and call the cops and she can't pick it up?
That already happened.
Oh, okay.
This is the scene where she ends up in the middle of the table and is trying to punch through his head.
Yeah. The effects of this movie are like, they're passable. It's not terrible, but they're bad. Like, they're not great.
They're Sabrina the Teenage Witch level.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
the TV show. Like, that's what it is.
They hired an intern to do them.
Yeah, they're like, oh, have you seen an episode of Charmed? You're qualified to do this.
Absolutely.
So this is where she then just like never leaves. So he becomes a never nude, essentially, where he's taking a shower in his boxers.
Yeah.
She's laying in front of the TV singing.
Yeah, she's trying to get him out of the apartment still, like by being annoying.
Yeah, she's trying
she
to get
is.
him out. And he gets a priest. Now, here's the thing about this priest is the intonation that he's using where he's like, the power of Christ compels you.
I loved it.
And it reminded me of a video that Armando and I used to watch and laugh all the time. And we definitely talked about it in Cult Podcast like 3 years ago. But it's a guy who break dances for Jesus.
Oh my God. You've told me about this.
And he just like, as he does it, he's just, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I love you, God! And it sounded like that to me, and I couldn't stop watching it. I'll make you guys watch it after we finish
oh my
recording. Sure.
God, I love it.
So he tries holy water. He tries some sort of candle ceremony.
Yeah.
They bring in ghost hunters who are like the Super Troopers gang, which is extra funny. But they trap what they believe to be the spirit under the pyramid like a bug.
I
And
love
then they're
it.
like, we're just going to give him a flush. And that made me laugh pretty hard.
I love that Reese is like, oh, look, a butter dish when they bring it up because like she's the ghost and she's not in that, right? So it's clearly didn't work. I thought it was hilarious.
And then finally he brings Napoleon Dynamite over.
Yeah.
And he can actually sense Reese Witherspoon's presence. And he's like, it's hostile. It wants you out of here. But he also says, like, she's not what's haunting you. The girl you lost is what's haunting you.
Yeah.
And at this point, Reese Witherspoon is like, oh, you got dumped. Ha, ha, ha. And we find out that no, he was not dumped. She passed away.
He stomps away, and Napoleon Dynamite turns to the ghost and was like, be respectful of the dead, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she runs into him on the roof and he's like, I don't want to talk about it, but I loved this roof. I wanted a garden up here and I'm sorry that I made fun of you because I didn't realize you'd lost your wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, he leaves to go across the street to, I got the impression that bar that Donald Logue is at is like in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I thought it was walking distance.
Walk over there. Yeah.
Agreed.
And so he walks over there. She's trying to stop him from drinking and like possesses him and takes the drink away. And it goes into like Bruce Campbell levels of physical comedy.
I was going to say that like Mark Ruffalo does such a good job here of like being possessed by Reese Witherspoon. And I thought that they were setting up something that she was going to have to do later. Like maybe he was going to have to do surgery or something.
Right.
And it never comes back that she can like go into his body.
Yeah, because he does do surgery later and she does not do this.
I thought,
she doesn't jump into his body and she could have.
Nuts. Yeah, absolutely. It's so crazy. I thought it was great though. And Mark Ruffalo does an amazing job up to the point where he like walks out all weird and then like falls down and she's standing there. Yeah, it was great.
He walks out like Vincent D'Onofrio in Men in Black.
Wearing an Edgar
suit. It looks like he's wearing an Edgar suit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where he's just like.
I love Donald Logue in the scene because he's like, oh, great, you came out. I thought you were going to bail on us again or whatever. And he is like, Mark Ruffalo is like talking to Reese Witherspoon and like moving around because Reese is trying to hit him. And he's like, oh, he's dancing already. And he's like, oh, you got some moves. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it was really funny. Like Donald is so good.
He very quickly realizes he's like, how are those hallucinations going? And he's like, not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
Oh, man. But he does leave because Reese walks them out in his body, which I got to be honest with you. If I took over someone's body, like, I don't know. Do you think Reese knows what it's like to have a dick after doing that? Like
this, I need to talk about
yes,
this.
I knew I could bring this to you two and you would understand why I was asking.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, whose body do you want to take over? Secondly, I don't know what it would be like to have a dick. And if I was able to inhabit somebody's body with one, maybe I'd never give that body back. Just putting it out there. Maybe I'd enjoy peeing outside. Come get me.
It is convenient.
I'm sure it is.
What are the questions? Run them by me.
Whose body would you take over? And what would you do in that body?
It's anybody.
Anybody.
I already know my answer, Mikey. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. I'm going to think.
Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, and then I would immediately go to the bank and transfer me, Todd, all of her money.
You know what? Good for you. I feel like you could have gotten weirder with it, but I respect it.
Yeah, I would do nothing sexual. Like, I don't care at all. I just want that money, honey. I also, honestly, I could just do that to Jeff Bezos, too. I feel like that would be more satisfying.
I don't know. I guess, I think I would do something for personal gain. I definitely would do something like Todd, where I would inhabit the body of XYZ, whatever, Elon Musk kid, and then...
XYZ. I thought you were doing that as like an et cetera, and then you were like Elon Musk kid, and I was like, oh, that's right, that kid does have a weird fucking name.
Oh my God! But he doesn't have his hand on the purse strings, Mikey. You'd have to inhabit Elon Musk and take his money.
I'd murder Elon Musk with XYZ,
or inhabit Grimes' body and go to court.
Yeah, I think you're getting into some scary territory. I think I would never want telepathy or like reading people's thoughts as a superpower because you're just not meant to do that. It would be terrible. And I don't want to get into someone else's life because I feel like that would also be weird. But we should watch movies about it.
I feel like I just want to spend like maybe a day as Beyonce.
Okay.
And just see what it's like.
Yeah, I can see that being fun.
Right?
I think it'd be more fun to be like a shark and like you're in the ocean and you like eat some shit.
I was limiting this to people, but you're absolutely right. Animals. Fuck. What's it like to be a cat? Could I cuddle against my own fur? I'm excited about this possibility.
Think how high you could jump.
I know. God, so many weird questions.
Yeah, we're going to have to move on, but I really like where this went.
I could talk about this for hours.
Welcome back to our spinoff podcast. Who do you want to inhabit this week?
Yeah, our spinoff podcast of weird philosophical questions and cannibalism. Oh, you should inhabit Bigfoot's body.
Oh, that Nephilim? Fuck that. No.
I love Todd, who, not religious, atheist, is like, I'm doubling down hard on Nephilim today.
You got to stick with the bit, baby.
Paige, he's not atheist because he doesn't believe in God. He's atheist because he's angry at God.
That he allowed those Nephilims to just stomp around our woods, knocking down trees.
It's not that I don't believe in God. It's that he owes me an apology.
For Bigfoot.
I think I would inhabit my ex's body, turn to her current boyfriend or husband or all of them. I would go one to one and be like, you know who had a big old thing?
I love that you chose chaos.
You're just gonna start dick rumors? You're gonna use the most powerful choice on earth to start dick rumors.
I want a quantum leap, X to X, and fuck shit up.
Quantum leap, X to X. Guys, I have a pitch for Netflix that is definitely not getting turned down.
Just picture this. Scene's open. It's my ex and whoever they're with at the time eating dinner, and they just like have like a weird twitch, and then they like turn to them and they're like, you know who was like really emotionally supportive and like really much better at sex with a larger
and
penis
had
than
a
you.
big old girth Brooks of a girthy vitamin water hog.
There's a hole in my heart and in my vagina that you can't fill up. and then just you see me just quantum leap away.
Oh my!
You just like ghost out of her body, and all you hear is
on to the next one.
Take me to the next one, Ziggy.
This is just destruction.
Oh yeah, like no couple is staying together after that. And I love it for you, Mikey. That's how Mikey gets his 17 women.
No, I don't think so. They left for a reason. I don't think they're coming back.
That's a healthy place to be, Mikey. Time to move on.
Anyway, we cut to the park where Mark Ruffalo is like, just wants to escape her.
Yeah.
But he does say to her, like, I'm sorry I said you were dead. Maybe you're not dead. And this is where she gets to, and this is the first we hear about it, where she's like, I wish I could remember something about who I am or was. Like, prior to this has not been a problem. She seems to remember everything else. But in this one, she's like, I don't know who I am. You're going to have to find out who I am.
Yeah.
So we cut to him asking all the neighbors, and most of them are like, nobody lived there. Or it's like, she was antisocial, a cat lady without cats. And this is where he meets the hot neighbor in the low-rise jeans.
Okay, what would your neighbors
Yes.
say about you? Because like mine would be like, oh, you mean that guy who like sometimes is naked when he gets his laundry out of the dryer and his window's open?
Mine definitely would say, oh, the guy who doesn't know I can see him naked from my second-story apartment looking down his staircase into his kitchen. Yeah, that guy. Also, by the way, we just bought curtains for that window because I looked up and saw him and I was wearing just boxers. I don't think he saw me, but I definitely could see him very easily.
I wish he would stop peeping in your neighbor's windows, Todd.
I mean, honestly, like he works from home and his work desk is right by that window. Like it's not his fault.
You know a lot about him, and I don't like it. It's making me uncomfortable.
He's my neighbor.
He saw him murder a lady and bury her in the bushes.
I don't live next to Mikey.
Too lazy to do all that.
Yeah, Mikey doesn't have the energy for a rear window.
But Reese Witherspoon's neighbors don't know her because she's the worst. Actually, she just works all the time.
Yeah, it's because she's literally at the hospital 24 hours a day. Yeah.
And no offense, especially when I worked in retail, I did not talk to my neighbors often because I had been peopling all day.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I just want to be in my house, quiet, eating whatever I can find in my kitchen, or whatever, like scrounging through bacon in my underwear, like whatever. I don't necessarily have the energy to have a full-fledged conversation about how I feel the new maintenance company is doing. Like,
right?
Yeah. So that would have definitely been me before I started working from home.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she really slut shames that one neighbor who, like, that neighbor is allowed to be a confident sexual woman. However, I do worry about that neighbor later when she basically pushes her way into somebody's house and just gets naked.
Yeah, that is exactly what happens.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is where we find out the spare key to the apartment is in the fire extinguisher. And they start going through all the drawers in her apartment where he finds an address on a matchbook, a dry cleaning ticket, and a note, like the note is on the matchbook. So it's kind of like both. So it's like an address matches. And she's like, do you have any idea what we could do with that? And he was like, start a very small fire. But they go to the dry cleaner. He remembers her, but like doesn't have a ton of details. And it's been long enough that he gave away her Armani pants. They go to the address, but they misread it. It says 425. It was actually 426 because they run into an old guy who's like, I know her. We were having an affair, but whatever she's paying you, I'll double it. Come back after 6 and I'll have a check ready, which we will find out is not Reese Witherspoon at all. This is completely unrelated and a hilarious coincidence.
Well, yeah, because that guy couldn't see Reese. He just thought that Mark Ruffalo was like a PI who was like, like shaking him down more or less. And I love the way Mark Ruffalo reacts to this is like, I mean, I don't care if you were sleeping with somebody, but I made some money if I come back here at 6.
Yeah, I'm about to come into some money at 6 p.m.
I love that.
But as they leave, what we find is across the street, 426, is one of her coworkers.
It's her female mentor who she was talking about earlier, who was going to dinner with her ex-husband because she didn't want to be responsible for killing an 80-year-old woman.
Right, right.
That whole thing.
They pass a restaurant where Reese Witherspoon's like, I love this restaurant. I always wanted to eat here, but I never got a chance to.
Yeah.
And as they kind of peek in, one of the waiters collapses and they need a doctor. She like does an ocular pat down, I guess. Like she visibly is like, his lungs are leaking air into his chest. That's why he's bloated. It's constricting him. He can't breathe. So we have to basically cut an incision to release some of that air. So she walks him through it instead of inhabiting him.
Right. I thought it was so funny. Like the whole thing is funny just because, you know, Willie Garson? He's like the maitre d' in this scene. He was in Sex and the City. He was in...
Oh, yeah.
He actually just passed away recently. Anyway, he's a great actor who's been in a bunch of stuff, but he is like freaking out and like they're like just walking over and no one can see Reese, and Reese is walking him through how to do it, and he's like getting the tequila or the vodka or whatever, and he's like splashing it on the chest, and he's like,
and he just starts chugging it.
and so he like finds the space between the ribs, he like stabs it, but like the whole time he is like arguing with himself, at least in the eyes of these people.
Yeah. This is what boggled my mind, is that no one in this room is like, are we just letting a street person stab a guy? Like,
and essentially,
no
yes.
one questions it because yes, that is what's happening.
But unless it's your loved one, I would be like, that guy's gonna stab that guy.
Mikey is just here for the tea, Paige.
I would be like, oh my. He said he was a doctor, but is he? I guess we'll find out. I would like my sandwich now.
Where's my waiter? Oh, is he the one on the ground? Get me another waiter.
So the ambulance is on its way. So they leave, but they go to the hospital because she remembers the name of the hospital. And she's like, oh, this is where I used to work. And so she immediately, once she gets to the hospital, is like, I know where I am. I know who I am. And so he starts asking about her.
Yeah.
And this is where she like floats to the room where her body is.
Yeah, because the head nurse at the nurse's station is talking to Mark Ruffalo about her. And she's like, yes, Elizabeth Masterson used to work here. Let me get someone else. And she goes to get that mentor doctor, the lady from the bathroom before. And she comes up and talks to Mark Ruffalo. And she's like, how are you related to her? And he's like, we had a romantic connection or whatever. He says it terribly.
I lived in the building. I'm living in her apartment.
Yeah. And then eventually she does start to tell Mark Ruffalo more. And then that's when Reese Witherspoon like floats down the hallway towards her body.
Right. And he then eventually gets to that room, and she, because she's a doctor, is like, okay, it's a persistent coma. So like, this is not good. I need to be reconnected with my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer to use the Oxford coma.
Oh, he was sitting on that this whole time, Paige. He was sitting on it. He was just waiting for you to say that. Oh, it was locked and loaded.
I refuse to believe that you know what an Oxford comma is.
An Oxford comma is the last comma in the series of commas.
Not quite, no.
Well, instead of saying "and," you put a comma behind it.
It's using a comma to delineate parts of a list as opposed to listing without commas.
I know what it is in practice. Grammar was not my forte.
Me either.
With that joke, it worked.
It crushed. I loved it. Let's move on. Yeah.
I like how the joke was so good, you guys turned to personal attacks, and I don't like that.
Well, I was just like, there's no way that the man who has mispronounced every name on every episode of every show we've ever done.
I learned faces, not names, Paige. And maybe if you didn't use a fake name, I'd be better at it.
What's Batman's name right now?
Oh.
Yeah, that's fucking right.
His name's Bruce Wayne.
It's always his name. It's the Batman. He's going by the Batman right now.
Played by Robert
Paddington the Bear. Pattinson. Jesus. Pattinson.
Yeah,
okay, that was right. It only took you like 4
He
tries.
finally got it. Guys, I want you all to know I cut out 45 minutes of Mikey trying to say it.
Time is 10:18 a.m. Pacific Standard on Saturday, April 2nd.
Pattinson.
Oh, God. But we have to move on. My day cannot be teaching Mikey how to pronunciate.
Pattinson. Only a Pattinson man may pass.
This is the name of a killer, Bella.
Oh my God.
I have trouble saying that and spelling restaurant.
I know. I once asked a woman out to a restraint. I'm going to be honest with you. I let her know about my
What'd she
kinks
say?
way too early. Yeah.
I was going to say, I was like, what, was she down? Is she cool? What's up?
Oddly enough, she was, and we dated for quite some time.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Mainly because she couldn't leave.
Oh, that makes sense. She's kidnapped.
I just went full Dennis for the joke, but I liked it. I thought it was funny.
She couldn't leave because of the implication.
I don't like the word kidnap because it implies only children are victims.
And man nap just sounds like I'm
You gonna
taking a
kidnap
nap.
me, fucker?
I'm gonna man naps later. You can nap anything, Paige, if it's got nipples.
I got nope, not gonna do it. Anyway, so she's trying to figure out what to do, and he says, "Turn around, I want to try something." And he grabs her hand, and she
But she's like, fool me once.
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. But when he grabs her hand, at that point, I was like, oh no, is he going to have sex with her unconscious body? I am so out. No, thank you. Hard pass. But they didn't do that. Thank you.
I thought he would like at least touch some other spot, like poke her a couple times or something.
Like, do you feel this?
Or slap her a little bit.
See, if this was a true comedy, that's what would happen. We would get a full-on dummy shot of him like pile driving that hospital bed. Can you feel it? No, not at all.
I used to be able to feel it when it was Mikey.
Oh my God. Mark Ruffalo just gets mad and breaks up with her and leaves.
That's fine. You know what? Hey, what's up, Mark Ruffalo? what's up, early 2000s, Mark Ruffalo?
We need to go back in time to get the infinity boned.
Put it in the vibrating gauntlet.
Yeah, it's like a rainbow colored vibrating gauntlet.
This episode got off the rails and never fully got back on it.
And I couldn't be happier about it.
This is definitely one of our worst episodes.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely one of the most cannibalism heavy episodes.
Which is
And that's
saying
saying a
something.
lot.
That's saying something. Anyway, so he snags the picture from the nightstand, which we'll find out later. But she basically knows that her prognosis is not great. He has to leave because visiting hours are over, and also they don't want to leave him alone with her unconscious body because, you know, bad things happen.
The HIPAA stuff did not go well for this movie.
No, HIPAA is not respected in this film. But he goes back to the apartment. She stays and sees her sister and nieces come in and finds out that the other guy got her job.
Yeah.
The guy who's going to go to Phoenix. And he wants them to pull the plug.
Yeah, and he wants to make sure that job is permanent.
Right. Yeah, that's but also she apparently had an end of life directive against artificially prolonging her life, and he wants to respect her wishes, which, as much as this movie plays him as a dick, I get where he's coming from.
Yes, I think it plays that he has ulterior motives, but he is just trying to have her respect her wishes. So I sort of understand what you're saying, Paige. Like, this doesn't necessarily make him a bad guy. It just positions him that way because we know he has a conflict of interest.
Right.
It's the joy in which he takes doing it.
Yes.
We've all had a colleague we wanted to unplug from a machine while they were in a coma.
How do you know about the machine?
Anyway, the sister says that she'd think about it.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the apartment, and Mark Ruffalo is like, is she here? Are you here? Are you here? She's not. He then cooks eggs in stainless steel, which risky.
I love your cooking notes. They're my favorite. I do think it's weird to have broccoli and eggs for dinner.
Oh, Jake does that all the time.
Really?
Actually.
Okay. All right.
So
cool,
that
cool.
that wasn't weird to me because it's like protein and vegetables and whatever.
Yeah,
but like
it's easy to cook. Yeah, come on.
I don't love eggs. I don't really like breakfast food that much. That's my problem.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
Jake and I go through a dozen eggs every 2 days.
Wow,
Wow,
that is
okay,
a lot
okay.
of eggs.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot because most people eat 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
We eat like 2 to 3 eggs every morning each.
Yeah.
So like we go through a dozen eggs every 2 to 3 days.
God, you've murdered thousands of chickens.
So many. But the reason why I bring up eggs in stainless steel is you can absolutely do it. I have done it. stainless steel is not nonstick, so like you have to add extra fat and stuff to do it, and you have to be kind of careful as you do it, or else you're just gonna be stuck scrubbing that pan all night
For days, yeah.
for days. But the reason I think it's unusual is because as like prop masters, like as the people like getting the props for this movie, it would be so much more expensive to get a stainless steel pan than to just get a normal nonstick pan that anyone would use to cook eggs. And I can't imagine why they did it, other than like, I guess maybe they thought it looked cool on camera. But I'm like, why? And it's clearly, as they're like filming it on the camera, he has clearly done it correctly so that the eggs can like move around freely. And I'm like, so you had to have somebody like come in and do this right just to use this one pan that would cost like 2 times more than the norm. I don't know. It was boggling my mind for a minute where I was like, why are we doing this?
I just love that you like really noticed that shit, and Mikey and I were like, oh, he's making eggs for dinner. Cool.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on right now.
I think it has to be something about for the eggs to show up the way they wanted them to look on camera.
Sure.
That has to be the only reason. But it just, every time people do it in movies, and it happens from time to time, I'm just like, who did this?
Yeah.
Who's doing this? Why? Anyway, the doorbell rings and it is the neighbor. And she's like, oh, I'm locked out. And he's trying to help her look up a locksmith. Like, he's legitimately like, I'll help you get back into your apartment. But it's very clear almost immediately she is not locked out.
Yeah, the only lock she needs picked is in her pants.
Yeah.
She comes on to him so hard that I thought she was like trying to murder him.
My favorite is the like snatches of conversation we get from her.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's a lot like there's an SNL sketch called The Girl You Wish You Hadn't Started Talking to at a Party.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's very much this, where at one point she just says, hello, Osama, communism is over. And I'm like, what the fuck is she saying?
Well, she also says every time I find a boy cute, hello, lesbian. You're like, what?
Yeah. What?
None of that makes sense. But I guess she's cute, so it's fine.
For a hot second, I was like, did this come out in 2001? Did she predict 9/11 by saying Osama? No, she did not. This came out in 2005.
Oh my God.
Anyway, she's like, where's your bathroom? And she walks down the hallway and she's like hardcore whale tailing it, like the thong up over the hips so you can see the triangle in the back.
Yeah.
It was a look. We all did it. It was unfortunate and uncomfortable.
But this girl's like it's that girl, because I've seen her in a bunch of stuff.
She has been in movies on this show more than Mark Ruffalo.
But she normally plays like this kind of role, right?
She plays this kind of role a lot. I think the most notable time we saw her is she played the Russian model in...
Yes. Yeah.
what is the name of that movie? Damn it.
Head Over Heels.
Head Over Heels.
Boom! Yes.
So she's one of the models there, but we have also seen her in like 2 or 3 other things as either like someone's wife or the other woman or a model. Like she often plays a model. But yeah, she has been in like 4 or 5 movies that we've done on this show.
That's awesome.
Anyway, of course, Elizabeth is back at the worst possible time and she's trying to tell him about the sister signing the papers, but sees that the neighbor's over and she's like, no, fine. Yeah, no, just go. Like, fine. Because at this point, the neighbor is in the bedroom and has just tossed her clothes out into the hallway.
Which is a swing. I'm going to be honest with you.
It is a swing. And considering the fact that he has given her no indication that he is interested in that at all.
And he's giving her indications that he's seeing hallucinations.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I did this, I would be arrested.
Absolutely. Like if I went over to a girl's house I was interested in, took my clothes off and threw them into her hallway, she would call the cops.
Oh my God. I should take an extra bag of clothes to someone's house
And test this out.
and like throw them one at a time and be like, you know what's coming.
And then they come in and you're still fully clothed. And you're like, can you help me with my laundry?
It's our third date.
Third date. It's the laundry date. He's talking to Elizabeth. Like, so he's openly having an hallucination and she just goes, it's Katrina or whatever her name was.
Yeah. But she's still like down to smash. She does not care that she calls her the wrong name.
It is Katrina. She's like, it's Katrina. Okay, come on back. And I'm like, no, oh no.
But Reese Witherspoon is very much like, listen, she's very pretty. She's here. She's interested. Just go have sex with her. I'm the one who's in the way. And she walks away.
I would be like, no, Reese Witherspoon, I want you to watch.
Well, Reese Witherspoon does peek in on her naked and talks about the tattoos that she allegedly has, which is a
Pretty
joke.
funny.
It's not real, but I do like that the tattoos it says all aboard in 3 different languages.
Right.
Which is a hilarious tattoo. Oh, man. Anyway, so he comes up to the roof and she's like, that was quick. And he's like, nothing happened. I just made her go away. I told her I was seeing someone.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that I was the only person who could see that person.
Yeah. And this is when they have that sweet conversation about his wife.
Yeah, because he confesses that like he hasn't been with anyone since Laura. And then he describes what happened and that Laura was basically cursing at her shoe because one of the heels had broken. She sat down, she put her hand to her head, and then she was gone. Cerebral hemorrhage immediately.
Yeah.
And there was nothing he could do to help her. And it was just out of the blue. And then this is where he lists out like all of the things that used to frustrate him about her. But it's this idea of like even the most frustrating things you would take back to have that person back, which is brutal and very sad. And I cried a lot.
Yeah. I cried a lot during this too.
Ugh.
It's been an emotional week for me.
Anyway, so at this point, he's like, we got to figure out what to do before they sign those papers. And he says, I want to show you something. So he takes her to a fancy house where he designed the garden. And she's like, this is the tampon commercial I visited in my dreams.
I do love that, like, the scene before this, it's fully night, they're on the roof, and he's like, I want to
Yes.
show you something. And then it cuts to, like,
Full
noon
daytime.
the next day. Yeah.
Yeah, time is a flat circle in this movie.
Very much so, yeah.
Anyway, so he gets a phone call and it's from his realtor basically saying that they're going to do the long lease because they're going to pull the plug.
Yeah.
So they have to go talk to her sister. So they rush over to the sister's house and he's trying to get dirt on her that no one else would know. And so we find out that she French kissed her ex-boyfriend 5 minutes before her wedding.
Yeah, JJ. Yeah.
That seems not great.
No, it's bad.
But then when you find out it's Donald Logue, you're like, I get it. Like, I see how that could happen to you.
That's a true Mikey move
It
right
is,
there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd kiss Mikey on my wedding day.
You should.
Full on the mouth, Mikey. Let's
Do
do
a
it.
first look so you can see how surprised Mikey is when he sees how dressed up you are that day.
When I performed that wedding in January, I totally faked the guy out with the first look. Like he was waiting for them and they were delaying and they're like, oh, tell him it's going to be like 10 more minutes. And so like I walked up slowly behind him and like touched his shoulder and he's like, oh my God. And I was like, surprise, it's me.
I find that so easy to believe, and I wish I was there for that.
Surprise, it's me. Do I look pretty?
The surprise page was he was wearing the wife's wedding dress.
No.
That's why it was delayed.
What's funny was he like called me and like I was like picking on him or something. And then she was like yelling from the background. She's like, you're not supportive of our wedding. And I was like, I did it and I can undo it.
Oh, man. Anyway, so he gets to the sister's house and tells the sister that he was a former patient of Elizabeth's.
Yeah. That he had spiral meningitis.
Spiral meningitis. Because at first I was like, he said spinal, right? And then I rewound it and I was like, no, he said spiral.
Yes. And I do think it's funny that like they know American audiences so well because both of the people who are in the scene, actually in the scene, not Reese, who was a doctor, but like they're both like, okay, yeah, spiral meningitis. Yeah. I know what that is.
Yeah.
And then they have to cut to Reese to say, that's not a real disease.
That's not a
like,
real
If
disease.
you're not laughing at that joke, it's because it's not a real disease, you stupid audience.
Well, this is where we find out that the little girls can see her.
Well, at least one of them. Yeah, because they're having a tea party and Mark Ruffalo's sitting there and so is she. And one of them runs off to get cookies and she gives one to Reese's character or puts it in front of her.
Right. And Mark Ruffalo is not getting anywhere with the sister because the sister is like, hey, I always pushed her to do things she didn't want to do. And so I'm finally going to respect her wishes, which is very sad, but earnest.
That's so sad and very sweet too. Like I understand why she would want that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just very sad.
By the way, if anyone puts a rainbow cookie in front of me, I'm like, you can see me? But like a metaphorical, like deep emotional way.
I love that for you, Mikey.
Oh my God.
I just can't wait till we start doing live show meetups and like these women bring M&M like cookies
or just
to you.
wear M&M cookies as pasties. I see you. I'm going to get your dick higher than your blood sugar. Let's do this.
Oh my God, I love it.
Then you just have to tell them you have bad depth perception and run away.
I have to poop.
I have to
I
poop.
have to poop. So he tries to explain, I can see her ghost. And the sister's like, great. And she escorts the kids out of the room, grabs a knife, and is like, get the fuck out of my house.
I love that so much. It is great.
Yeah. And he basically said, he's like, I know about JJ. And she's like, how the fuck do you know that? But just still chases him out of the house.
Well, I love that she yells, nobody knows about that. And then when he brings it up to his friend Jack, who we find out is JJ, he says the exact same thing. He's like, nobody knows that.
Yep. He meets Elizabeth outside. We cut back inside to the house where the little girls come out and they ask, is Auntie Lizzie going to come over for tea again?
Yeah.
And she has this look of like, what?
Yeah.
Which I don't understand why that didn't at least make her character pause a bit and be like, wait, you could see them?
Maybe she really is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so they go to Napoleon Dynamite's bookstore and they tell him that she's in a coma. We're trying to rejoin her with her body. And he's like, that's not the question you should be asking. Like, there's unfinished business. Something needs to be done. There's a reason. And he says, well, how can I see her when no one else can? And he's like, that's the right question.
Yeah.
Why is it you? Which I feel like is a question they're asking way too late into this film.
Right. And then they don't really answer. I guess they do.
They
but
do
if-
answer it.
But if the reason is because they were supposed to like have a blind date.
It's Final Destination. It's Final
Okay.
Destination.
Yeah, they were supposed to be together.
They were supposed to be together. They were fated to be together. They missed their first meeting. And
All because of a bowel obstruction.
yeah, all because of a bowel obstruction.
A literal pain in the ass.
Well, it's two things because we find out that he was going to stand her up anyway.
Yeah.
Because he was not over his wife. So for her, it's the bowel obstruction. For him, it's the wife. But with living together in a weird ghost roommate situation, she learns that she needs to make more time for a work-life balance, and he kind of processes the grief of his wife because they meet up. So they are fated to be together for that reason. Anyway, so they're trying to do research, but they're running out of time. And she basically is like, I didn't like the way my life was going because I didn't get to experience any of it. It was always me saving my life for later.
Yeah.
I just never thought there wouldn't be a later. And I don't want to spend my last night crying or fighting. I want to do something with you instead. And at this point, I was like, she's going to ask him to have sex, but it's a ghost. Are they going to break into the hospital?
Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, please don't go there. I can't have this.
I wanted them to go there. I wanted us to go all the way.
Instead, they end up like laying on a bed, like touching hands, but not touching it. Touching hands, touching me, touching you.
Reese Witherspoon. Ba ba bum. You've been a coma for this whole movie.
Asleep. Anyway, but I just have in my notes during the scene, no, and then nothing happens, thankfully.
Yeah.
But the next day he wakes up and I don't know why he's constantly sleeping fully clothed in this movie, but he is.
Because he's being haunted by a ghost who always watches him.
I mean, sure, but like she wanted to have ghost sex the night before. At least take a sweater off. Plus, she's a ghost. Like, I feel like layers don't stop a ghost, Todd.
I mean, I think there's evidence to suggest otherwise. I've never been haunted that I know of.
That you know of yet.
I guess that's fair. All right.
Anyway, so this is where he gets up the next morning and he's like, we're going to steal your body. And I was like, oh no. And she's like, you're going to need a van and someone with no morals. Enter Donald Logue.
Yeah.
And he tells him that they're moving medical supplies and he's talking to himself. And Donald Logue is like, hey, you hallucinating right now, bud? And he's like, yes. But if I told you, you wouldn't have come with me.
Yep.
We're trying to like save the spirit of a girl in a coma. And he's like, okay, we're going to walk down to the psych ward and commit you. And essentially they come up with a system where he can predict the rock, paper, scissors behind his back.
Yeah, because Donald is holding his hand behind his back and Reese is standing back there. So he correctly guesses rock, paper, scissors, and then he flicks him off and he correctly guesses that. And then he says like the most bonkers thing I've ever heard, which was sometimes people having psychotic breaks can be psychic. And I was like, no, they can't.
Yeah, that's only true in really rare cases.
Oh, yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
sure, Mikey.
We did watch Vibes. So.
I don't think Vibes was a documentary.
They weren't psychotic. Thank you.
They were absolutely sane.
Why can't I get a love story like Vibes?
I mean, I don't think you want one if you remember that movie.
I mean, if you were like Thickum's Jeff Goldblum,
Oh,
Yeah.
Thickums Jeff Goldblum.
you might find your Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, man. Anyway, but it's in this scene that he's like, why are we doing this? And Mark Ruffalo's like, I love her. I love you.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're like, really? Okay.
But that does convince Donald, and he's like on board to help.
Yeah. And for Reese Witherspoon, she's like, no one's ever said that to me before. And I'm like, no one? Your entire life?
I know.
Like,
Because she's at least like 33 in this movie because she is
Well, I mean,
out
she's
of residency.
in residency.
Yeah, that's what I'm
She's
saying.
just been in school the whole time.
yeah, but like she has family that we know loves
Oh,
her.
I think they mean romantically.
I thought they meant like in a romantic sense too.
I'm sure they did, but the way that she phrases it makes it sound like no one ever. Which,
Well, he should have said, I'm in love with you.
yes. Anyway, but I think for Donald Logue's character, he's like, hey, this is the first time he's shown interest in anything that's not his dead wife. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, buddy. Let's do it.
Well,
Like,
he's in because he knows at some point he's going to have to move a body too, and he needs
That too. Yeah.
he needs that payback from his friend.
yep, I'm going to need help moving a body, and I don't want to hear any shit from you, is what he says. So they get to Reese Witherspoon's room, and Donald Logue is like, this is her. This is the woman you stood up that night. And he's like, she didn't make it to the date either. She had an accident.
Yeah.
This is where they realize that Donald Logue is JJ and knows Reese Witherspoon's sister, and he tried to set them up. They were fated to meet, but the truck got in the way.
Yep.
And Mark Ruffalo's grief got in the way.
Yes.
So as they're trying to load her onto the gurney, the doctor is going to pull the plug, shows up early, and the sister and the mentor are there as well. So they have to basically just make a run for it.
I love the way Ruffalo tries to like slow down the doctor who's trying to kill her. Like he goes
Yeah.
into the hallway and they talk, and Reese is trying to like talk him through all the medical speak or whatever, and he's like, hang on, let me verify this. And he like calls Dr. Walsh, I think, on the phone, and then Mark
Right,
Ruffalo just
uh-huh.
like punches him.
Just punches him. And so they take off running through the hospital. They're being chased. As Donald Logue tackles somebody into an elevator, they accidentally take out her breathing apparatus.
Yes.
Which is going to kill her.
Also a Mikey move. Tackle somebody and accidentally kill another person on the way.
And she seems to fade away, like she is dying, and
Yeah.
he kisses her, and she can clearly feel it, but she seems to fade away. But then there's a blip. She's breathing on her own. She comes out of the coma, but she doesn't remember him at all, which I
Yeah.
thought was a real strange choice.
They just wanted to set up that final kiss in the garden on her roof, which I get, but I do think
Yeah.
it was a strange choice too.
I think it was also a strange choice. But
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it was because it's their touching that brings it all back for her. And he goes to
Right.
reach for her hand and she moves it because she doesn't recognize him, right?
Yeah.
She's like, don't touch me. And he does respect those wishes. And he's probably thinking, everyone right now is stunned. And the only way for me
You're right.
to not get arrested is to sneak out while everyone is stunned.
Yeah.
So he
Yes.
leaves. Yeah.
Right. But he kind of goes to all the places that she used to go and the places
Yeah.
that they kind of went together. And it looks like he still has the apartment, but clearly he moves out because she moves back in.
Well, and we know the way he gets back in is to use the key under the fire extinguisher. So he doesn't
Right.
live there anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't live there anymore, but she walks up to the roof. And at this point, she's just like, hi. And I'm like, stalker. The only way up to the roof is through your apartment, bitch. And this is the guy that you saw at the hospital.
Yeah.
How are you not terrified?
Well, also, he got a bunch of shit up there, like a bunch of boards and equipment.
That garden, I don't know if you've ever been on a roof like that. I would be worried that garden would cave through. I'm not sure. It's a lot of weight.
This is a lot for a rental.
Yeah, and a rental too. You're right. Yeah, like it's a lot.
Oh, I wondered if Reese Witherspoon owned that apartment and they were just they were
Maybe.
just like renting it to him because
Well, no, she says it's my apartment from when I rented it.
oh shit, so she's renting it too?
I think so. At least that's what it says in the movie. It makes way more sense if she bought it.
I would never invest that much into a rental.
Yeah.
Right.
It works better as a story if she bought it, but yeah.
Yeah, I get why they did it for the movie because it is a very sweet gesture, but wow, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he goes to hand her key back because she's like, give me that extra key, fool. You're not getting up here again.
Yeah.
And as they hand the keys over, their hands touch and she remembers all of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dream. They kiss. And at that point, I was like, what is her family going to think? Of like, she brings him to the next cookout and is like, turns out he was talking to me while I was a ghost. And they're like, this is the man who tried to kidnap you at the hospital.
Yeah.
Like,
But also saved her life. So it's a weird big emotions.
yeah, it's weird.
She would have died. Well,
Maybe. I don't know. All I know is that the camera pulls out from that rooftop and it's revealed that all of this was in a snow globe that Napoleon Dynamite was looking at.
I know. I was like, what just happened? And then... And that's
the
movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about Just Like Heaven?
I needed to either have more chemistry or more crazy shit.
Yeah, I could see that. Because it's not like horny, sexy kind of a rom-com where it's like they've got a lot of chemistry and it's just like oozing chemistry. And it's not funny. So it's like this weird middle area where it's fine.
Well, and it's kind of like, I think about While You Were Sleeping, because a movie that also involves a coma, which is a crazy movie. Bonker shit happens in that movie. But there's so much chemistry and it's so good and so sweet and you like them so much that like you really buy into it. This movie, there's just no chemistry. It's not that interesting. And it is also weird. So it's like, it's not good enough for me to excuse the weird, but it's not weird enough for me to excuse it not having chemistry.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't know. I weirdly liked it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I weirdly liked it too. Like, it's not bad. I didn't hate it. I just don't think I'll watch it again. It's one of those movies I'm glad I saw, though.
If you're drinking wine and you're just picking a rom-com to watch, like, you could do a lot worse.
You could do
and in
way
fact,
worse.
you might enjoy this.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely one of those that's very watchable, but not awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do have some fun facts.
Well, hit us with your fun facts. Hulking fun facts.
Now, as we've covered in previous episodes that have this same apartment, that apartment is between $3,000 to $5,000 to rent.
Yeah, it's a big apartment in an expensive ass city.
And it's basically a condo.
Yeah.
Like the actual building is a condo. So during some scenes and rehearsals, Mark Waters, the director, had Mark Ruffalo wear an earpiece where Reese Witherspoon would deliver her lines even though she wasn't on set. And so it was like he was constantly hearing a radio station in his head while trying to talk to other actors.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
Which is maddening. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome though.
I like it.
Yeah.
After receiving essentially what's called like a pitch or a query doc, a rough outline of the story, the producers bought the rights to the novel without having actually read the book.
This is based on a book?
Yeah, this is based on a book.
What?
And they just bought it sight unseen.
What?
Which is crazy.
That's wild. Okay.
Now, here's what's really interesting. So the interior of the apartment is a different place. It's not the same as the exterior.
Right.
The interior of this apartment belongs to one of the screenwriters for this movie.
Really?
Where, she used to live in this apartment and had them source it for shooting. She also suggested John Heder, aka Napoleon Dynamite, for the role of Daryl, and both things end up in the movie.
Awesome.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Now, that apartment specifically had fire escapes and catwalks outside some of the windows.
Yeah.
But because they weren't using them in the movie, some people did not know they were there. And so after one bad take while shooting, Mark Ruffalo, as a joke, jumped out of a window knowing there was a catwalk outside.
Okay.
Landed on the catwalk, but freaked the fuck out of the crew.
Oh my God.
Where they were just like, oh my God. And then he popped up and was like, I'm okay.
Mark seems like a guy I'd like to hang out with.
Oh, yeah.
He just seems like a genuine nice guy.
100%.
I'd like to hang out with Mark Ruffalo.
I think the kind of hanging out with I'm talking about is very different from the hanging out with that Paige is talking about.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows? We'll never know. For all but 5 days of the shoot, Reese Witherspoon was in the same outfit.
Yeah. I mean, she wears that same outfit like the
entire
whole movie. Yeah.
The wedding video that Mark Ruffalo watches is actually one of the assistants' weddings. So like one of the director's assistants.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Now, according to the DVD commentary, they did something a little unique for this movie that, to my knowledge, has only really been done maybe one other time in the same way. And part of that is because it's very, very difficult to find rooftops like that have a view of San Francisco in that way.
Yeah.
So what they did is they built a soundstage that looked like the roof, and then they green screen around the soundstage.
Yeah.
And then add in the San Francisco skyline in CGI. Do you know the other film that has done this specifically for San Francisco?
The Room.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, the difference with The Room, if you have not seen The Room,
I think the budget on The Room was a little bit smaller than this.
it was. Now, here's the crazy thing about The Room. The Room shot both in Los Angeles and in San Francisco, but in one of the apartment buildings that they shot in, they had access to a roof. They actually had a roof that they could shoot on, and it had a view. But instead, they chose to do what they did here and build it and green screen it.
So crazy.
And it looks crazy in The Room.
Yeah, it does.
It's wild. And I know they do this for other films and stuff too, but specifically for this exact same issue in San Francisco, I thought it's funny that both this and The Room did the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, the apartment building that they filmed at is actually 3 stories tall. We see it from the exterior. We've seen it in other movies. But the view from the roof is actually from a much taller building. It's actually like 20 stories higher than what a 3rd story would be.
Okay.
They look down on other buildings, like down on other buildings that are the same height as their building, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So his late wife's name is Laura in the movie.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon's full name is Laura Jean Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, following the film Napoleon Dynamite, which came out the year before this, there was an urban legend that John Heder had actually died shortly after filming Wrapped for Napoleon Dynamite, and that's why he hadn't been in other movies. He did not. He is still alive to this day.
He's still acting.
But when this movie came out, it basically like squashed that rumor.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Now, after 3 months of being in a persistent vegetative state, she would have had to have been extubated and had a tracheostomy to be used for the ventilator. But I think it's because they want it to be Reese Witherspoon and not look, So there are actually 2 different actors from Marvel films in this movie. Number 1, Mark Ruffalo,
Of course.
obviously.
Yeah.
But also, did you know that Donald Logue was Quinn in Blade in 1998 and Mac in Ghost Rider in 2007?
I did
Oh
not
my
know that.
God.
That's amazing.
There you go. Now, when Elizabeth and David visit Daryl, John Heder's character, in the bookstore, like basically the first time they bring Reese Witherspoon to the bookstore, the song in the background is Spooky, performed by Imogen Heap. And it's a really interesting cover, but I thought that was really funny that they just kind of layered that in underneath. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk some box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Just Like Heaven in 2005 when this movie came out?
I would say $27 million.
Okay. Paige, what do you think?
I'm going to say it's not that high. I'm going to say closer to 10 million.
Okay. So the budget for this movie was $58 million.
Holy shit.
And when you adjust that for inflation, that's about $84.2 million today.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, they do shoot all over San Francisco, and they have 2 big stars at the time in the movie. Like, I sort of get where that money went, but it wasn't spent on the effects, Mikey. Anyway, so this movie came out on September 16th, 2005, and it was number 1 the weekend it came out. It beat number 2 that weekend was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Number 3 was Lord of War. Number 4 was The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and number 5 was Cry Wolf. But what do you think Just Like Heaven made in its first weekend in the U.S. domestic market?
Not as much as any of those movies.
Well, I mean, it was number 1. It made more than all those movies.
It was, but Exorcism of Emily Rose goes on to make ass loads of money.
Oh, you mean total? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, absolutely.
Let's see. First week, I'm going to say it made 20 mil.
Okay. All right. Mikey, what do you think?
I'm going to say $25 million.
Okay. So it made $16.4 million in the first week at the box office. And it then went on to be in the theaters for 11 more weeks. So it was in the theaters for a while. But what do you think it made domestically? Total.
I'm going to say total it made 45.
Okay. Mikey, what do you think?
60.
All right. It made $48.3 million specifically. So it did not make its budget back domestically, but worldwide it made an extra $52 million. So it did just barely squeak above $100 million at $100.6 million. And if you adjust that for inflation, that would put the 106 up to $146.2 million today. It also made $37.7 million in home market performance.
Jeez.
So it made a lot of money. I mean, I realize
Wow.
it probably by US standards was like a bomb, or maybe not a bomb, but just was not a success. But internationally and home market really lifted it up to where it made good money.
Damn.
Yeah. But that's your box office. So do you guys still think they're together?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think her family's very suspicious of him.
I agree. I think they're still together. Second relationships typically work out more than first relationships, and they're older in life. They probably know more about what they want than like I did when I was 25 and got married. So yeah.
I also think that maybe she's not a doctor, though.
No, I think she stayed a doctor.
Or if she is, she's not taking the job that she left.
Oh, I don't know.
So even if she is a doctor, she's probably made different choices.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she's now an attending physician and not a resident, so her schedule would be a lot better just because of that
Yeah.
anyway. And she could do like local tenums instead of like taking an attending position somewhere and work less hours. I mean, I definitely do think she finds a way to strike a better work-life balance. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that's one of the themes of the movie, and I think that would be carried on in their relationship for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, Mikey made us watch Just Like Heaven. Paige, what are you going to make us watch next week?
So next week is episode 90.
Oh shit, okay, yeah it is.
I started out looking for like, okay, what's the most bonkers 90s rom-com? And as I was going through them, I realized we had done most of them already.
Yeah, we've done a lot.
Oh no.
Like a huge amount of them. But one came up that I was like, ooh, I remember that one. I don't really want to pick it, but it made me think of one that my sister and I used to watch all the time that unfortunately is not 90s. It's 2001. But I had to pick it based on pure unhinged insanity. I'm hoping neither of you have seen it. And that movie is Kate and Leopold.
Oh no, I have seen it.
You've seen Kate and Leopold?
yeah.
I've never seen it, but
Yeah.
if you want to start with me, Mikey's crazy time travel romance summer, I am here for it.
Let's do it. I will say the one that made me think of Kate and Leopold that I didn't choose that I will reserve for a later date was Beautician and the Beast. That would have been the other bonkers
wow.
pick.
Okay, yeah.
But no, it is Kate and Leopold next week.
Yeah, but this is Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I remember this. Yeah. Okay. So your homework for next week is to confuse a early 2000s movie for a 90s movie and watch Kate and Leopold while wine drunk.
Yes, while wine drunk. I was like sitting there looking at it at the description. I was like, is this going to be as crazy as I remember it being as a child? And I like loved that movie
Yeah.
as like a tween. And then I reread the description. I was like, oh, it's crazier than I remember. Like, let's get into it. It's going to be fucking wild.
I honestly haven't seen it in a long, long time. I mean, maybe since the early 2000s, but it's available for streaming on HBO right now. And you can rent it on every other renting platform if you don't have HBO.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
I do. From Ringo Hellcat.
Ooh.
Title of review, highlight of my Thursdays.
Oh, thank you.
Such a fun podcast. The hosts have great chemistry, but
Oh, no.
they pick on Mikey too much.
Oh, did you write this review? Hang on.
No,
Hang on.
no, I didn't.
This is bullshit. Hang on.
Thanks to this podcast, I have a list of movies to watch with my wife.
Aw.
Keep up the great work.
That's super great. Well, Ringo Hellcat, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. And if you want to have Mikey read your review, leave us a 5-star review. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab, and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show
Yes.
on
Yes.
Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok. except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
Oh, no.
I want to do an in her body experience.
Hell yeah, Mikey. Maybe this is where we should do your pickup line for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Bye. Not quite a ghost, nerds.
La 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 la.